Alright guys, welcome back to WOT Garage. This is Josh here, and today we have a little bit of a different video in store today. So actually what we're going to do is in relation to the powder coating, which you can probably already tell from the video, but we are going to make a larger oven for powder coating so I can do larger items, such as robot parts for robotic season, doing larger cross members for the truck, you know, stuff of that sort, and it just allows for a lot more options. I can also do wheels that are a little bit larger than stock, at least. And yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities for it. It's just always great to have a larger oven for powder coating. So what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna take the heating element and all the controls off of the old oven, and I'm going to put them in a new enclosure and build the new enclosure up to a higher standard. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. As you can see over here, this is the oven that we've been using, and that's as big as it goes. I mean, it's not that deep, not that wide. I mean, it's good for small parts, but nothing large. So I'm actually going to use these cabinets right here. I have two of them. One of them is going to be for scrap to build like a door and other items with it, interior walls, and the other one we're going to build up to about 54 inches. I have steel right here, 2x2 steel, to do an internal frame, and in that frame I'm going to put 2-inch thick ceramic insulation, and then we're going to build a door for it and use the top part for storage, and it's just going to be really nice afterwards. Like, it's gonna allow for so many more possibilities. That's what the plan is, and that's what I'm gonna start working on. So let's get to it. First things first, got to shop vac the inside and make sure everything's all nice and clean. So the opening uprights that we're going to have are going to be 54 inches tall. We're lining up the metal in the bandsaw. That way we can cut it to the 54 inches in length, and that will give us our actual opening. First things first, we want to cut the end straight on the piece of metal. That way we have a flat surface to work with. While my dad's cutting the 2x2 steel, I'm going to go ahead and start putting the floor in, which is just a shelf from the cabinet originally. And what I'm going to end up doing is tack welding the shelf, which is right here, to the bottom, and 5 spots on the front and back and 3 on the sides. That will produce our base layer. We will put the 2x2 steel on top of it and insulation underneath it. So that will give us our base layer of insulation and just create the whole base for the oven. Alright, so I have everything marked out, and the next step is to take the grinder, grind everything down to bare metal in those spots I marked, and then I will tack weld everything in. I now have all the spots grinded down, and I can go ahead and clean up and then start tacking everything in. Alright, so I'm getting ready to weld the bottom floor into the cabinet. This is really thin sheet metal, so I'm tack welding it, and even tack welding on the practice pieces I was using, you can still burn a hole in it pretty easily. So I'm going to try doing my best and get the best bead I can across it with the tacks, and we'll see where that goes. The last clip I left off on, I was welding everything up, and today is now the next day. I finished all that up this morning, and here I'm going to show you what it looks like now. As I told you guys before, I'm still learning and I'm not doing that great. This also was pretty difficult with how big the gaps are, but here we are. And sorry for the echo. This cabinet, it produces a lot of echo, but I mean, it's not the best welds, that's for sure, but it'll definitely get the job done. This one was actually my best one, and it really doesn't look that bad to me. That's where I left off this morning, and today we are building the frame for everything. The frame, I already have part of it in the oven, and I'll show you that in a second, and I've already started welding part of it, but that's pretty much all I'm going to be doing as of right now is welding the frame. Here's the back portion of the frame all up in there. That's not welded together yet. Here's part of the front section. This is actually the next piece I'll be welding. But that's the basic frame, and then we're gonna have cross beams that come to the front ones here. And here is the piece that I'm welding on right now. So if I can get it to focus, here's the welds on that. And again, not great, but this is thinner stuff, so it's harder to weld. So I'm just doing a series of spot welds across the whole thing, but it really doesn't look too bad. That's pretty much all I'm gonna be doing right now, is welding everything up and getting it all together. The next clip that I actually film will more than likely have everything welded together and what I'll be doing next. So now I have everything welded in for the supports for the whole thing. Next thing I'm going to do is I have a 1-inch angle iron, and I'm going to use them to make the racks that go across. More than likely use 1x1 square tubing to make the rack. So we'll bring it about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches down so we can have a top rack. And then somewhere around the middle, have another one. I also need to cut the angle and line it on this bottom piece so that we can have something for the door to seal on, because the seal for the door will be on all of these edges, but there's nothing on the bottom, so we'll make one with the angle. Alright, so I cut it out. Now I'm grinding down the seams here so I can have a flat, flush surface, and then I'll put it in and weld it in. The next piece we are working on is the top wall on the oven right here, and it's gonna go right under this 2-inch, and then we're gonna put insulation on top and then another layer of metal on top of that. So we're gonna have to cut out around this 2-inch, and that's what my dad's doing right here. He's getting the shelves, making 2-inch squares on the corners to cut out, then put it in the oven, probably using self-tappers or something quick and easy to just get it on. So we got the bottom tray cut out, all the 2-inch pieces. We got the sides cut off. We already test fitted it in here and it fit really well, so now we're gonna take it and go ahead and self-tap it in and get her locked down. And we now have the top shelf on. Alright guys, this is where I'm going to end part 1 of the powder coating build series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.